chapters 22 through 28 of the book of Genesis from the Holy Bible in Modern English. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. The Holy Bible in Modern English, translated by Ferrar Fenton. The book of Genesis, chapters 22 through 28. Chapter 22. After these events, God tried Abraham and said to him, "Abraham!" And he said, "I am here." Then he said, "Take your son, your peculiar one whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of vision, and offer him there as a burnt offering upon one of the hills which I will point out to you." When Abraham woke in the morning, he saddled his ass and took 2 youths along with him, and Isaac his son, and split up wood for a sacrifice. And they rose up and went to the place which God had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham looked up and saw the spot some distance off. Then Abraham said to his attendants, "Stay here by yourselves with the ass, and the lad and I will go and worship, and will then return to you." Abraham accordingly took the wood for the sacrifice, and placed it upon Isaac his son, and took in his own hand the fire and the knife, and the 2 went together. Isaac then said to Abraham his father, "My father?" And he replied, "I am here, my son." "There is fire and wood," he said, "but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" "God," answered Abraham, "will provide a lamb for himself for a burnt offering, my son." So they went on together. When they came to the place that God had commanded him, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood, and bound Isaac his son and laid him upon the altar, upon the top of the wood. Then Abraham stretched out his hand, and took the knife to slaughter his son. But a messenger from the ever-living called to him from the skies, and said, "Abraham! Abraham!" And he replied, "I am here." "Stretch not your hand against the young man," he said, "nor do to him what you intended. For now I know that you reverence God, and would not withhold from me your son, your special one." Abraham then looked up and saw a goat caught in a bush by its horns. So Abraham went and took the goat, and offered it as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham therefore called the name of that place Jehovah-Ireh. Then the messenger of the ever-living called again to Abraham from the skies, and said to him, "I promise," the Lord declares, "that because you have done this thing, and not held back your special son, that when blessing I will bless you, and when increasing I will increase your race as the stars of the skies, and like the sand upon the seashore. And your race shall possess the gates of its enemies, and I will benefit all the nations of the earth through your heir, because you have listened to my voice." Abraham afterwards returned to his attendants, and they rose up and went back to the well of the oath. After these events a message was delivered to Abraham. "Your sister Milcah has given birth to children to Nahor your brother, Uz and his brother Buz, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Kesed, and Hazo, and Kildash, and Zidlaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel has produced Rebekah. These 8 Milcah has borne to Nahor your brother. And his second wife, whose name is Reumah, she also has given birth to Tabach, and Gaham, and Thahash, and Maachah." Chapter 23. Now the life of Sarah was 127 years, the whole of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn and lament for Sarah. Then Abraham rose up from the presence of his dead, and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, "I am a foreigner and wanderer with you. Give me the possession of a grave among you, and I can bury my dead from my sight." And the sons of Heth replied to Abraham, "We listen to my lord, who stands like a god among us. Choose from our tombs a grave for your dead. None of us will deny his tomb to you, where you can bury your dead." Then Abraham rose up and bowed to the people of the land, to the sons of Heth, and addressed them, saying, "If it is in your minds to let my dead be buried from my sight, listen to me, and apply for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, and let him sell to me the cave of Machpelah, which is within the boundaries of his land. He shall sell it to me for full value as a tomb possessed among you." Now Ephron resided among the sons of Heth, and Ephron spoke after Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, to all who came to the gates of the town, saying, "No, my lord, listen to me. I give you the field and the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I give it to you as a grave to bury your dead." Then Abraham bowed to the people of the land, and addressed Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, "Nay, if you are disposed to listen to me, I will pay you money for the field. So accept it from me, and I will bury my dead there." Then Ephron, in reply to Abraham, said, "My lord, listen to me. For 400 shekels of money between me and you, the land is yours, and you can bury your dead." So Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the money which he had agreed upon, in the sight of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver currency. Thus he bought the field of Ephron that is in Machpelah, which is opposite Mamre, the field and the cave which is in it, and all the trees which were in the field, with all the hedge around it. Thus Abraham bought it in the presence of the sons of Heth, of all who came to the gate of the town. And after that Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, opposite Mamre, in the land of Canaan. And the field with the cave in it was acquired by Abraham for a burial ground from the sons of Heth. Chapter 24. Abraham, however, grew old and advanced in years, and the Lord had prospered Abraham in everything. Then Abraham said to his servant, the chief of his household and steward over all he had, "I wish you to put your hand under my thigh, and take an oath to me by the ever-living, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the Canaanites, among whom I reside, but that you will go to my old family and take a wife for my son Isaac." But the servant asked him, "If a woman does not desire to come along with me to this country, shall I return and take your son to the land from which you came?" When Abraham, in reply to him, said, "Be careful not to take my son there. The ever-living, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's home and from the land of my birth, and who spoke to me and also took oath to me, saying, 'I will give this country to your race,' he will send his messenger before you, and you will bring a wife for my son from there. But if a woman does not desire to come along with you, then you shall be free from this oath, except that you must never take my son there." Abraham's servant accordingly put his hand under the thigh of his master, and took an oath to him upon this matter. The servant afterwards took 10 camels of his master, and plenty of his master's wealth in his hand, and rose up and went to Aram between the rivers, to the town of Nahor. And he knelt the camels outside the town, at the well of water, in the evening, at the time when they came out to draw water, and prayed, "Ever-living God of my master Abraham, turn now your face today, and do a kindness to my master Abraham. I am here encamped at the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the town will come out to draw water. So let it be that when the girl to whom I say, 'Hand me your jar, and I will drink,' if she replies, 'Drink, and I will also give drink to your camels,' let your servant take her to Isaac, for by that I shall know that you will do a kindness to my master." And so it happened, as he was coming to the end of his prayer, that Rebekah, who was the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, wife of Nahor, the brother of Abraham, came out with a bucket upon her shoulder. And the girl was very beautiful to look upon, a maiden who had no sweetheart. And she ran to the well, filled her bucket, and drew it up. The steward was delighted, and spoke to her, and said, "Will you give me a drink of a little of the water from your bucket?" "Drink, sir," was her reply, and she tripped on, and lowered her bucket to her hand, and gave him a drink. When she had given him a drink, she added, "And now I will draw for your camels, that they may all have a drink." Then she ran and carried her bucket to the spring, and dipped it into the well to draw, and she drew for all the camels. The man watched her silently to know whether or not the ever-living had granted prosperity to his journey. And when she had watered all the camels, then the man took a brooch of gold of half a shekel, and placed on her arms 2 bracelets of rich gold of a shekel, and said, My girl, will you now ask the men of your father's house for a place for us to lodge in? And she answered him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she had to Nahor. And she continued, We have plenty of straw and fodder, and room enough for you to lodge. Then the man bowed and thanked the ever-living and said, Thank the ever-living God of my master Abraham, who has not forgotten his goodness and truth to my master, for the ever-living has led me to the house of the brother of my master. And the girl ran and reported to the house of her mother, as it is here related, and to Rebekah's brother, whose name was Laban. Then Laban rose to go to the man who rested near the well, when he saw the brooches and the bracelets on the hands of his sister, and heard the words of Rebekah his sister, That the man said this to me. He went to the man, who remained by the well with his camels, and said, Come in, you blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside when I offer you the house and a stable for your camels? Then the man entered his house, and he unloaded the camels, and gave straw and fodder to the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the feet of the young men who were with him. He also placed food before them. But he replied, I will not eat until I have delivered my message. Speak, he said. I am the servant of Abraham, he answered, and the ever-living has prospered my master very greatly, and has given to him sheep and oxen, and silver and gold, and men and women servants, camels and asses. Sarah also, my master's wife, had a son to my master, a son in his old age, and he will give him all he has. Now my master has pledged me to say, Take not a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I reside in their land, but go instead to the home of my father, and choose a wife for my son from among my own family. I replied to my master, Perhaps the woman will not come with me. Then he said to me, The ever-living, who has caused me to walk in his presence, will send his messenger along with you, and he will guide you in your path, so as to secure a wife for my son from among the children of my own tribe, and from the home of my father. So take an oath to me that you will go to my tribe, and if they will not give to you, you shall be free from your oath to me. And I came today to the well and said, Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if it pleases you, point me to the path that I should follow. See, I have arrived at this well of water. So let it be that when a young girl comes to draw, when I say to her, Give me a little water from your bucket, and she answers to me, Drink yourself, and I will also draw for the camels, she shall be the wife the Lord will grant to the son of my master. This speech had not come to an end on my lips, when Rebekah approached with her bucket upon her shoulder, and she dropped it into the well and drew. Then I said to her, Pray give me a drink. And she quickly lowered the bucket from off her, and said, Drink, and I will also water your camels. So I drank, and she watered the camels as well. Then I inquired of her and asked, My girl, who are you? And she replied, The daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, whom Milcah had to him. So I placed the brooches on her brow, and the bracelets upon her hands. Then I bowed to the Lord and worshipped, and thanked the ever-living God of my master Abraham, who had been kind to me, leading me in the right way to the house of the brother of my master for his son. And now, if it is your will to show kindness and truth to my master, inform me, and if not, tell me so, and I will turn to the right or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, This has proceeded from the Lord. We are not able to say to you either good or ill. See, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and she shall be a wife to the son of your master, as the ever-living has directed. And when Abraham's steward heard their words, he bowed to the ground to the Lord. The steward also brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and clothing, and put them upon Rebekah, and gave treasures to her brother and mother. Then they ate and drank, he and the men with him, and rested. And rising in the morning, he said, I will now return to my master. The brother and mother, however, said, Let the girl remain with us a day or two. After that she shall go. He, however, replied, If she will not go with me, then the Lord will prosper the way of return, and I will go back to my master. Then they said,
Let the girl be called, and ask her own self.
So they called Rebekah and asked her,
Will you go with this man?
I will go,
was her reply. They therefore sent off Rebekah their sister with her nurse, and the steward of Abraham and his attendants. And they gave Rebekah their blessing, and said to her, You are our sister. Increase to thousands, and may your descendants possess the gate of their enemies. Then they lifted Rebekah and her attendants, and placed them upon camels, and they rode after the man. Thus the steward took Rebekah and departed. Now Isaac was traveling towards the well of vision, for he resided in the south country, and he had come out to meditate in the field at the approach of the evening, and there he raised his eyes and looked, and saw camels coming. Rebekah also raised her eyes, and saw Isaac, and dismounted from her camel, and asked the steward,
What man is that who walks in the field?
And the steward replied, He is my master. So she took a veil and put it on. Then the steward reported to Isaac all the things that he had done, and Isaac brought her to the tent of his mother Sarah. So he took Rebekah, and she was a wife to him, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother. Chapter 25. Abraham prospered, and he took a wife whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimram, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shuach. And Yokshan begot Sheba, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Tushim, and Lamim. And the sons of Midian, Aipha, and Apher, and Hanok, and Abidah, and Eldaha. All were descendants from Keturah. Abraham left all that was with him to Isaac, but to the sons of the secondary wives that Abraham had, Abraham gave fortunes, and sent them from his son Isaac, during his own life, to the east of the eastern country. These were the days of the life of Abraham that he lived, 175 years. So Abraham expired and died, a fine gray-headed old man, and satisfied. And they placed him with his people, and his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, on the estate of Ephron the son of Zohar the Kivite, which is before Mamre, the field which Abraham bought from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. After the death of Abraham, God prospered Isaac his son, and he resided at the well of vision. Now these are the sons of Ishmael, son of Abraham, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, the slave of Sarah, had by Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by the names of their families. The eldest of Ishmael was Nebaioth, and Kedar, and Abdal, and Mibsam, Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Kader, and Thema, Zetur, Naphish, and Kadma. These were sons of Ishmael, and these their names, by their villages and towers, 12 men by their nations. The years of the life of Ishmael were 137 years, when he expired and died, and was added to his people. And they took him from Havilah to the wall, which is between Egypt and the road to Ashur, laying him with all his relatives. And these are the children of Isaac, son of Abraham. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac son of Abraham was 40 years old when he took for his wife Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel the Aramite of Padan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramite. And Isaac prayed to the ever-living about his wife, for she was childless, and the Lord answered him. For Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together in her breast, and she consequently said,
Why does this happen to me?
So went to inquire of the ever-living. And the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your breast, and 2 peoples shall proceed from your womb, and one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. When her days were full for her delivery, there were twins, and the firstborn boy came out covered with hair, and she called his name Esau. Then after him came his brother, with his hand holding the heel of Esau. So they called his name Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old at the birth of them. When the lads grew up, Esau was a man skillful in hunting, a man of the field. But Jacob was a quiet man, a stayer in the tent. So Isaac loved Esau because he hunted with him, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once when Jacob was boiling porridge, Esau came from the field, and he was exhausted. So Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me now with that red porridge, for I am exhausted." Therefore they called his name Red Soup. But Jacob replied, "Sell me your birthright today." Then Esau answered, "Now I am going to die. What is that birthright to me?" So Jacob said, "Swear to me now at once." And he swore to him, and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave to Esau bread and lentil porridge, and he ate and drank, and rose up and went. Thus Esau was careless about his birthright. Chapter 26. Afterwards there was a famine in the land, beside the former famine which was in the days of Abraham. So Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines of Gerar. Then the ever-living appeared to him in a vision, and said, "Descend not to Mitzar. Dwell in the land that I promised you. Remain in this land, and I will be with you, and will bless you. For to you and your race I will give the whole of this country as a dwelling. And I will complete the oath which I swore to your father Abraham, and I will increase your race like the stars of the sky. And I will give to your race the whole of this country for a home, and I will bless all the nations of the earth through your heir, in accordance with what I promised to Abraham according to my words, if you will carefully keep my commands and statutes and laws." So Isaac remained in Gerar. When the men of the place asked about his wife, he replied, "She is my sister." For he feared to say, "My wife," lest the men of the place should murder him for Rebekah, for she was beautiful to look on. After he had resided a considerable time, it happened that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, was looking out of his window, when he saw Isaac sporting with his wife Rebekah. Abimelech therefore summoned Isaac and said, "Now she is your wife. Then why did you say to me, 'She is my sister'?" And Isaac answered, "Because I said to myself, I fear they will kill me because of her." "Why did you do so to us?" Abimelech said. "Perhaps one of the people might have lain with your wife, and you would have brought sin upon us." Abimelech therefore commanded to all his people, saying, "Whoever touches this man, he shall as surely die." Isaac, however, removed from that country and went to Bashan, he and his possessions, and the ever-living prospered him. Thus the man traveled about and increased until he was very great. He also had flocks of sheep and herds of cattle, and many servants, and the Philistines were envious of him. So the Philistines filled with earth all the wells that the servants of his father Abraham had dug in his days. Abimelech also said to Isaac, "Go from among us, for you are much stronger than we." So Isaac went from there and encamped by the river Gerar, and remained there. Isaac also settled and cleared out the wells of water which were dug in the time of his father Abraham, and he called them by the names they were called in the days of his father. The servants of Isaac also dug in the valley, and discovered there a spring of living water. But the shepherds of Gerar contended with the shepherds of Isaac, and said, "The water is ours." So he called the name of the well Strife, because they disputed with him. He therefore dug another well, and they contended about that also. So he called its name Contention. He then removed from there and dug another well, and they did not fight over it. So he called its name Room Enough, for he said, "Now, Lord, you have given us room, and made us fruitful in the land." Afterwards he arose from there and went to the well of the oath. And the ever-living appeared to him that night, and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Fear not, I am with you, and will bless you and increase your race, because of my servant Abraham." Then he built an altar at the place, and called on the name of the ever-living. And he pitched his tent there. The servants of Isaac also dug a well. But Abimelech went to him from Gerar, with his chief herdsmen, and Pichol, the general of his army. Isaac therefore asked them, "Why have you come to me, when you are my enemies, and have driven me from among you?" And they replied, "We are terribly afraid, because God is with you. So we would say, let there now be an understanding between us and you, and let a treaty be made with you, so that you will not do wrong to us, if we do not touch you, and as we have certainly done good to you, and sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the ever-living." He therefore made them a feast, and they ate and drank, and rose up in the morning, when they swore each to his brother. Then Isaac sent them away, and they went from him in peace. In the same day also the servants of Isaac came and informed him about the well which they had dug. And they said, "We have found water." He therefore called it Satisfaction. Consequently the name of the village by that well is called Satisfaction to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as a wife Judith, the daughter of Barai the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. But they were a bitter wind to Isaac and Rebekah. Chapter 27. And when Isaac was old, and his eyes dim that he could not see, he called his eldest son Esau, and said to him, "My son." And he replied, "I am here." Then he said, "See now, I am old, and I know not the day of my death. So now take up your spear, quiver, and bow, and go to the field and hunt venison for me, and make me tasty food such as I love, and bring it to me, and I will eat it, so that my soul may bless you before I die." But Rebekah heard the speech of Isaac to Esau his son, and that Esau had gone to the field to hunt venison to bring in. Then Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, and said,
I have just heard your father speak to your brother Esau, saying, "Bring to me venison, and make me tasty food, that I may eat it, and I will bless you before I die. So now, my son, listen to my voice to do what I shall order you. Go to the flock, and select for me 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make tasty food for your father, such as he loves, and you shall carry it to your father, when he will eat, and because of it he will bless you before his death."
But Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. When my father feels me, I shall be in his eyes like a swindler, and shall bring a curse on myself, and not a blessing." His mother, however, said to him,
"Let any curse for you come on me, my son. Only you go and do as I tell you."
He consequently went and did it, and brought to his mother, and she made for him tasty food, such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took some of the clothes of her son Esau, which were in the house with her, and put them on her younger son Jacob, and put the skins of the kids of the goats on his hands, and the smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the dainties and the bread which she had made into the hand of her younger son Jacob. And he went to his father, and said to him, "Father?" And he replied, "I am here. Who are you?" When Jacob answered, "I am your eldest son Esau. I have done as you asked me. Rise now, turn and eat of my venison, so that your soul may bless me." Isaac, however, asked his son, "How is it you have been so quick in meeting with it, my son?" So he replied, "Because your ever-living God brought it before me." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near me, my son, and I will feel if you are really my son Esau or no." So Jacob approached to Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." Therefore he did not detect him, because his hands were like the hands of his brother Esau, hairy, and he was thankful. Yet he asked, "Are you really my son Esau?" And he replied, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it to me, and I will eat of the venison of my son, so that my soul may bless you." He consequently presented it to him, and he ate. And he brought wine to him, and he drank. Then Isaac his father said, "Come close, my son, and give me a drink." So he approached and gave him a drink. And he smelt the smell of his clothes, and was satisfied, and said, "Yes, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field, which the Lord has blessed. So may God give to you the dew from the skies, and the fatness of the earth, and increase and possession. Nations shall serve you and bow down to you. Yes, a multitude of mighty peoples, with your brothers also, shall pay tribute to you, my son. If any curses you, he shall be cursed, and if any blesses you, he shall be blessed." But it happened that as Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had gone away from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came with his venison, and he also had made dainties, and brought them to his father, and said to his father, Arise, my father, and eat of the venison of your son, so that your soul may bless me. Isaac his father, however, asked of him, Who are you? And he replied, I am your firstborn son, Esau. Then Isaac was terrified with a very great terror, and asked, Who then is he who has hunted venison, and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before you came, and I have blessed him. Yes, and he must be blessed. When Esau heard the speech of his father, then he cried with a very great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me, also me, my father. But he replied, Your brother has come with deception and stolen your blessing. And he answered, He was rightly named Tripper Up, for he has tricked me this twice, to take my birthright, and also now to take my blessing. Then he asked, Have you not a blessing left for me? But Isaac replied and said to Esau, Since I have made him your master, and have given all his brothers to him for servants, and with increase and possession I have endowed him, where now, my son, is there anything I can do? But Esau said to his father, Is there then only one blessing with you, my father? Bless me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, Yes, in the most fertile land shall be your dwelling, and with the dew from the skies above. And you shall live by your sword, but shall serve your brother. Yet when you extend, you shall break his yoke from off your neck. But Esau hated Jacob for the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The day approaches for the mourning of my father, when I will kill my brother. But the words of her elder son Esau were reported to Rebekah. So she sent and called her younger son Jacob, and said to him,
Now Esau, your brother, intends to kill you. Consequently, my son, listen to my voice, and arise and go away to Laban my brother at Charan, and stay with him for some time, until the anger of your brother has passed away. When the rage of your brother against you has passed, and he forgets what you have done to him, I will send and fetch you from there. Why should I be deprived of both in one day?
Then Rebekah said to Isaac,
I hate my life in the presence of these Hittite girls. If Jacob should take a wife from among these Hittite girls, such girls as they are in this country, why should I live?
Chapter 28. Consequently Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him, and commanded him not to take a wife from the girls of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel your mother's father, and take yourself a wife from there, from the daughters of Laban your mother's brother. And may Almighty God bless you, and make you fruitful, and increase, and may you become an assembly of nations. And may he give the blessings of Abraham to you and your race with you, to inherit the land of your strangerhood, which God gave to Abraham. Thus Isaac sent off Jacob, and he traveled to Padan Aram, to Laban the son of Bethuel the Arami, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. But when Esau knew that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there to comfort him, and had ordered him, saying, Take not a wife from the girls of Canaan, and that Jacob had listened to the voice of his father and mother, and had gone to Padan Aram, then Esau perceived that the girls of Canaan were displeasing in the eyes of Isaac his father. So Esau went to Ishmael, and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael the son of Abraham, the sister of Nebaioth, besides his other wives, as a wife to himself. Jacob, however, set out from the well of the oath, and traveled to Charan. And he arrived at a place and rested there, for it was sunset. So he took one of the stones of the place and put it for his pillow, and laid down in the spot. Then he dreamed and saw a ladder with its foot standing on the ground and its head reaching to the heavens, and there were messengers of God ascending and descending it. And he saw the ever-living stationed above it, who said, I am the ever-living God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The land which you now lie upon I will give to you and your race, and your race shall be like the dust of the earth, and shall spread west and east and north and south, and all the nations of the world shall be benefited by you and your heir. Be assured also that I am with you, and will guard you wherever you go, and I will give you a quiet return to this country, for I will not forsake you until I have accomplished what I have promised to you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep, and exclaimed, The ever-living is certainly in this place, and I knew it not. So he was afraid, and said, How terrible this place is! Is not this truly the house of God? And this the gate of heaven? Jacob, however, slept until morning, when he took the stone which he had placed for a pillow, and sat it upright, and poured oil on the top of it, and called the name of that place God's house. But Andam-Loz was its former name. Then Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If the ever-living God is with me, and will guard me in the way that I now go, and give to me bread to eat and clothing to put on, and bring me back safely to the house of my father, then the ever-living shall be my God. And this stone which I placed for a pillow shall be a house of God, and of all that you give to me, I will return 1/10 part to you. The end of chapters 22 through 28 of the book of Genesis. Recording by Mark Penfold.